right, so last objective here, just like the last section 1-2, where we looked at side-by-side bar charts, now we're going to compare distributions using dot plots. So we'll have two separate dot plots. Now, when you do this, there's a couple things specifically to look at, all right? So number one, we're looking for the shape, the center, and the variability. So the shape we just talked about. Center is the middle value, and then variability might be something new to you. So variability is how much something varies. So I like to think of it as the spread, right? It's how spread the data is. Is it all clustered around some one value, or is it really, really, really spread out? And then lastly is outliers. So outliers are values outside the pattern. You know outliers. They're that dot way to the left or way to the right all by itself. So it's good to identify those things as well. So when I am comparing distributions, it's these four things I'm looking for. Now, notice this note here. When comparing distributions of quantitative variables, explicitly, which means like write it down, do it, compare the center and the variability using words like greater than, less than, or about the same. So you have to use the comparison words, right? So actually compare them. Shape and outliers, you can just write down what the shape is and if there are any outliers. But for these other ones, you need to write down greater than or less than or about the same. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take a look at an example here. So it says, anybody home? How do the numbers of people living in households in the United Kingdom, UK, and South Africa compare? To help answer this question, we used Census at Schools Random Data Selector to choose 50 students from each country. Here are parallel dot plots of the household sizes reported by the survey respondents. Compare the distributions of household size for these two countries. Okay, very good. So first of all, UK is UK. We're going to label South Africa as SA, if you don't mind, just for simplicity. So let's go ahead and look at the shapes. So shape. So if I'm looking at South Africa, right? So for South Africa, here is my peak. So obviously the right side is longer than the left side. So South Africa's distribution is skewed to the right, meaning there's a lot more larger size households to the right. Even look at this dot way out there by 25. So for the UK shape, so the peak is right here. I would say the left and right side are about the same. I would say it's roughly symmetric. Now, again, you might say, but Mr. Chappell, look at that right side. 5 and 6 have a lot more dots than 3 and 2. It's not about the number of dots. It's about the length. So there's shape. Next, let's talk about the centers. So now for center, we have to do a comparison sentence. So I'm not going to list it like this. Now, if I look at South Africa, to find the center, there are 50 students. The peak is not necessarily the center. That's where most of the data is. But for 50 students, the center would be around the 25th or 26th respondent student. So I'm going to count the dots from left to right until I hit about the number 25 or 26. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Those are these two dots right here in the 6th column. So for South Africa, the center is at 6. Whereas for the UK, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26. So this is where 25, 26 dot is, and that's in the stack of 4. So we would say South Africa center, and in parentheses I would put 6 is greater than the UK's center. I would just put 4, just like that. Simple, right? But make sure you write a sentence for the center. Okay, next is the variability. Remember, variability is the spread. So if you look at South Africa's spread, it goes from 3 to 26. So its variability is 26 minus 3. That's 23. That's a pretty large variability. Whereas the UK's goes from about 2 to 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So we can see that there's a lot more variability when it comes to South Africa than the UK. So South Africa's variability which is 23, is greater than the UK's variability. And that was 4. Okay, and last but not least is these outliers, and this is where we can just name them. So for South Africa, do we have any outliers? I would say yes, 26 is an outlier. Could you consider 15 an outlier? Maybe. So I'll put it in with a question mark. I'm not sure. But 26 definitely, right? For the UK, I don't see any outliers. There's no dots y by itself, so we'll just put none. And that's how you compare a distribution. So again, let me underline that for the center and the variability, you have to put a sentence using the comparison words, greater than, greater than. Okay? Be aware. Nice. Thanks for watching. And this is section 1.3.